Okay, so um, so shifting out of this paradigm is not just like, oh, just a quick shift. It's it's a process, and it can take a couple years. It can be quick for some people, but very difficult for other people. And it has so much to do with facing your dark side as well as your good side. It's like looking at your whole self and accepting your whole self and loving your whole self and taking time for yourself, appreciating yourself, standing up for yourself, being there for yourself, advocating for yourself. It's all about what you are going to do for yourself, but not in a selfish way. Because before, we were in everybody was out for themselves, but it was in a different kind of way. This isn't and everyone was so beat down, and oh my gosh, just the frustration and the anger, just the frustration and anger you see on the streets with these people. Yeah, there's some really bad people, but there's also some people out there that are just very misdirected. And it's very sad. Especially, yeah, you see some of the people and they just present themselves like, I'm a reject. You know, like, you gotta turn off the video games. You gotta turn off the superhero movies. And all of this manipulation that's going on. Nobody's a reject. Nobody's we all just are people having different experiences. And there's just so much manipulation that has been going on to people's psyche, and people are so broken and so sad and so beat down. And I just want it to get to where people can love themselves, and loving yourself has to do with a lot of things. Has to do with taking the time to feed yourself properly. It's not going and ordering something and having someone else cook it. It is you feeding yourself and having the gratitude for the food that has been brought to you. Be excited. Enjoy the experience of creating something. And one of the things that I have really found that I enjoy doing now is taking a bath. It's a soak. Put in some Epsom salts, and I think it's good for pulling out some of the heavy metals and stuff out of our system. But I can go in there and just be in total pain, put in a nice Epsom soak, just sit in there, light some candles, smoke a joint before you go in, or have a glass of wine, whatever it is that, glass of milk, whatever your thing is. Just something that you really enjoy doing. It's because this is your thing and your time. And then, I like to have music on, but, if you want silence, it's just totally up to you what you want. But for me, going in and taking a bath, it's time for myself to just relax. I like to meditate. I like to just go over blessings, go over gratitude, just really appreciating what that warm water feels like around your body when it's winter and it's cold outside. That just in itself is one of the things I just so much enjoy. But anyways, the cooking for themselves, and while I'm talking about the cooking, then I would say this whole thing about the vegetarian and meat eaters, and just that whole thing where people argue and fight about. And even once it's a vegetarian, then if you're not a vegan, then if you're not a whatever, they just narrow it down. It's just division. More boxes. I don't want to be in any boxes. I'm an individual. You cannot put me in a box. I've been breaking out of telling me how to think since I was young. I don't need anyone to tell me how to think, what to think, who's good, who's bad. I'll decide for myself. But, you know, when I was younger, I didn't eat meat. I mean, I ate it a few times, but every time that my mom would make it, I would just be so grossed out by it. I would chew it, and it would be like, oh my God, it just was like chewing meat. It was just flesh. It just would gross me out, and I would spit it out. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand the texture. And so I stopped eating meat as soon as, I've never drank milk. As soon as I was able to stop those things, I mean, when you have parents that are constantly trying to make you, but as soon as the milk was way easier, way faster. I quit drinking milk probably when I was 2. But I quit eating meat maybe when I was 13. And, but I continued to eat chicken every once in a while. I would have some chicken and some fish maybe, just not that often or anything. And then I was super excited when ground turkey became a thing, because then I could make hamburgers again, because I did miss hamburgers. I really liked hamburgers. And I used to go to McDonald's and get quarter pounder with cheese. That was like the only meat I could even stand. And now to know that it probably was human meat, who knows what the hell they were giving us. It was definitely not what they told us it was. And then so then later on, when my kids were growing, I would always feed them meat. I would never tell them, you know, you're going to be the way I say you're going to be. Let them decide for themselves. And I have 4 daughters, and it's divided. Some eat meat, some don't eat meat. Some are vegan, vegetarian, and then 2 meat eaters. And they've all taken their time of trying to be vegetarian, and it just didn't work for some of them. And I respect that. I think there's something more to it than, I think there's something in our DNA from our ancestry that gets us to be, it's whatever they had to live off of, you know, over time, wherever, you know, like if your family, you know, is from Ireland, you know, for generations, you know, maybe you hate potatoes, or maybe you just feel like you gotta have a potato with every meal or whatever. But that's how I feel like it comes from something deeper. It's not just like you're born and then, it's not like that. And there's no reason for us to argue about it. There's no reason to say, tell someone else how they have to eat. I've seen so many spiritual teachers telling people, you know, like, you have to eat this way, otherwise you're not a holy person or something. No. You don't have to do any of the stuff that someone says that you need to do to be that holy spiritual person. There's nobody out there that has more of a connection to God than you. All you got to do is go in yourself. Think about it for yourself. What does it give you the feeling of? Does it give you the feeling, like, get in touch with your feelings? How do you feel about it? Don't listen to what other people say. It's anything, any triggers, any of the stuff. We have triggers that are there to help us heal, to move into the next thing. We have different things, but you always go inside. Don't listen to what other people say. Anything I say that you don't agree with, it doesn't mean you have to do because I said. I go inside. I follow my own guidance. I'm not going to tell you, you have to follow my guidance. I mean, Jesus Christ, the world is big. Just the universe is even bigger. We're not even all from this same planet. We don't all incarnate in this same planet all the time. You know? So everybody is having their own experience. They're here to learn their own stuff. And you know, I think there's going to probably be a lot more people who are going to stop eating meat. And I think because I think we're going to go out of the big corporate meat farms, whatever they're called. I don't even know what they're called. I want to say steer or something. But those big giant ones where animals are being abused and stuff, I think we're going to go away from that. We're going to go to smaller farms. I live in a smaller community now. I moved out here when all this stuff, right before I moved in 2019, April 2019. And so a year later was when quarantine happened, right? Yep. And I've been quarantined ever since. So I lived here for a year. And when I first moved here, it was winter. But anyways, I moved out to rural Western Washington and out in the mountains, but close up to the ocean. And I've met farmers and stuff out here, and I've been buying my vegetables from a local farmer, and she now has, and I get my eggs from her, and she's got other animals, but she does pigs and she's doing cows, but she's going to do some dairy cows. So I'm going to go there to get my cheese and cream and milk and stuff. Butter. But she's just getting started with that. But I think there's going to be a lot more of that smaller community, and I think there's going to be a lot more of, if you want an animal to eat, you're going to have to go out and kill it yourself, or you're going to have to raise it yourself. I feel like we're going to move away from that consumerism, is all I can think of what to call it. Not capitalism. Capitalism is going to become more important, I think, than ever. Now we've been told and told and told capitalism is failing. Capitalism is creating all of these problems. It's giving us the division and rich and poor and stuff like that. That wasn't just capitalism. That was the controllers enslaving us and then telling us it was just manipulation. But I think we're going to start seeing what capitalism really is and how it really is beneficial to a society that's trying to build, and it gives you more opportunity. And I think we're all going to start having a lot more opportunities. I think that the financial thing is about to have a huge shift. I do believe 100% that this Nasara or whatever, it's going to be called, but this reset of the banks being taken down, all this fake financial system that we've been living in, this counterfeit system of manipulation and enslavement, it's all going to be a thing of the past. And it's going to start being, you go to work, you actually get your own money. You get to keep your money, and it's not going to be... One thing that really opened me up when I very first started just having this awakening thing was, how can they charge us to live? How can they charge us for Earth? How can they charge us? It's one thing to pay for a house that's built, but to pay for your piece of property? How did they decide who owns the Earth? They don't own the Earth. That's what they did once they fight for land and stuff, but in these wars, when they were developing this country. But why? How can they say, oh, well, we own this part, we own this, and you're going to pay us taxes for this, and you're going to do this, and how? You don't own the Earth. And I think we're going to go back to that, that it's going to be, we're not going to be paying the government for everything. I think that the banks are going down, and it was a corrupt system, and that whole thing's going to change. There's still going to be a bank or a place if you want to have money held, or somebody who does your money or whatever, but it's not going to be the way it has been. We're not going to be able to borrow money. You're going to have to make money to buy something, but things aren't going to be as expensive. We're not going to be buying cars that are $30,000. When I was young, people were buying houses that were $12,000, $5,000 in California. Now, $1 million. How are we ever supposed to get ahead in a system like that? So I think that this reset is happening, It's not the great reset of the globalist. It's not that. It's the Nasara. It's the agreement that they made with the farmers when the farmers got screwed over by China and in that suit and stuff, and then they made the Nasara, and they've tried to put it through. It was supposed to go through 9/11, and we know what happened that day. So now for this to happen, it's gonna change our lives entirely, and we're going to start actually living and experiencing, not just trying to survive and struggle and watch people starve on the street and feel horrible. How is this happening? And they put pressure on us, like we're the ones failing. But go to work, give us all your money, give us. And once you're too old to work, you're unnecessary. We just need you to go. We need some young blood coming in. But they want to decrease the population. They only want a few, and they obviously really want to have non-gender, non-binary, people that don't have any, they don't want structure. They don't want a family nucleus. They want everything to just be like good little slaves. Back in the Romans or something like that, I think they even used to castrate them. That's basically what they're trying to do, is just create their little slave working force so they can all sit up on the top of the hill in their castles, tell us what we're doing wrong, and live off of our blood, sweat, and tears. That's all ending. And that's going to be a painful end for a lot of people, because a lot of people are so absorbed in the system that they have no idea that it is a system. They think that is life. They don't know the difference. And anyways, that's what I'm going to do these for, is to just try and help somebody with my rambling nonsense to make sense of some stuff. Because everybody has different perspectives, and we need to appreciate everyone's perspective. We need to not be upset because someone doesn't agree with us, or think that we need to convince them that we're right. You don't ever have to convince anybody you're right. Things will play out. We'll see how things play out. You don't have to try and convince anybody. It's going to play out this way. It's going to play out the way it's going to play out. And so we can all have opinions, we can all speculate, we can all have perspective, and sharing each other's perspective is what makes us greater, makes us smarter, makes us see more, makes us understand more. I kind of think if you really can get into someone else's experience and really try and understand, that is a huge growth that, maybe you would have had to live a whole life to go through tons of experiences to get that information. Or maybe you can just listen to someone else talk about their experience and have respect for their perspective. Because there's one thing for sure, is I could tell you all day long what an orange tastes like, but I would still have no idea if you're tasting the same thing as me. And that's what we all have to start realizing. Everyone is, our perception, the way we process, the way we understand things, the way we experience things, it's different for every single person. And we just need to really have respect for it. Quit judging each other.